All right, there are embarrassing losses, and then there's what happened to Miami last night. I know I'm not breaking any news or anything. You guys watched it or you've seen the replays by now, but we want to get our laughs in and talk about some of the things that are very real and how this impacts kids and how Miami's Mario Cristobal absolutely screwed the pooch last night in one of the most embarrassing losses that is on a head coach that I've ever seen. Setting the stage just a little bit, it's embarrassing that Miami was even in a game with Georgia Tech. They were a 21-point favorite to open it up. I think it ended at like 19 and a half. So you're still a three-score favorite, three-touchdown favorite against Georgia Tech. You're playing at home, and Georgia Tech had just lost to Bowling Green the weekend before. This should not have been a game. It's embarrassing for Miami and Mario Cristobal that it was a game at all to start with, and then obviously the way it finished becomes so much bigger of an issue. Tyler Van Dyke wasn't good. We'll talk about him in just a minute. And Miami's outlook on the rest of the year, they could have been 5-0, pushing for the top 15, with matchups against North Carolina and Clemson just ahead. And I certainly don't think that they were going to win those games, whether they knelt the ball last night or not. But I do think you go into those games with a little bit more confidence and a little bit higher regarded matchups, and you've got a chance to do some special things. Clemson struggled yesterday with Wake Forest, and North Carolina hasn't looked amazing yet, though they were really good yesterday. But now there's no chance that Miami is going to win either one of those games. A horrible decision by Mario Cristobal. There were 34 seconds left in the game. When you look at it, you can see the snap with 33 seconds, 34. And if Tyler Van Dyke simply falls down on this play, let's say that before he hands this ball off, if he just trips, if the turf monster gets him, if he slips, if they fumble the ball in the backfield, if they fumble the ball in the exchange right here, likely one of them, the running back or quarterback, falls on it and the game's over. Miami's offensive line is actually not bad, and there was no Georgia Tech push here. They were all ready for him to break through the line so they could attempt to strip the ball, which obviously they did. But literally anything in the world could have happened on this play except for what did happen, except for Mario Cristobal for the second time. The fact that he did this at Oregon and then now did this here is remarkable. But it is astounding that they blew this. An unthinkable decision, an unfathomable decision by Galaxy Brain Mario Cristobal, which we told you he's not a good coach. Good recruiter. Does a great job appealing to kids. They've got a healthy NIL down there now that Life Wallet's out of the picture. They do a good job recruiting. He's always been a bad game day coach. He doesn't know how to use timeouts. He doesn't understand game situations. And the fact that he did this at Oregon 5 years ago and people are surprised that he did it now? No, more people are just watching now because it's on the West Coast. More people are watching when it's here in Florida and it's in the Big Three and it's the Miami Hurricanes. There were replay angles that show that the runner was probably down, and there are a couple of Miami fans that are taking that angle of we really shouldn't have lost because the refs screwed us, and that sounds convenient, I understand, but that's just not reality. You can't put the ball in the ref's hands, especially when you play in the ACC. You've known it for 20 years now nearly. You cannot let the ACC officials have a chance to dictate things. It was called on the field, not conclusive, call stands, you lose the game. Unreal. And the call probably was wrong. I'll say that. But Mario Cristobal needed to learn a lesson here. And Miami's fans needed to learn a lesson here. And so I'm glad that the ACC refs blew this. I'm glad that they missed this call. There is no chance that Mario Cristobal should have been able to get away with this. It reminds me of the Breaking Bad. He can't keep getting away with this. Well, he didn't last night. And I think about the fact that even the ESPN announcers, before the play happened, before the fumble happened, but we're saying, what is he doing? Why are they running the ball? Why not just kneel it down? And I think a lot of times people think that they can outcoach coaches. People think that they're smarter than coaches. People think that they could have made a better decision because usually they get the benefit of hindsight, right? Usually they get the benefit of, oh, Norvell shouldn't have run a screen on that play because Keon Coleman misses a block and Clemson runs, or Boston College runs it in for a touchdown, right? Because Toafili fumbles. Oh, I would have never called a screen in that play. Well, yeah, you would have. Like, Florida State gets that block, they're fine. People think they can outcoach coaches. Most of the time. Where it's legit, where people are actually correct, where they could outsmart coaches, is freaking Mario Cristobal. That was the most basic Madden level call of all time. There is nothing like it. The fact that he didn't, when you play Madden, you ever play Madden and you get annoyed at the people who all they do is select the computer, suggested plays? Oh, you never call your own offense. You just select the computer suggested play. The computer suggested play is kneel the ball down. I've seen embarrassing losses. I was at Florida State versus Georgia Tech. Thankfully, we don't have the most embarrassing loss against Georgia Tech anymore in this conference. I was at that. I get it. But the difference is that Florida State was going for the win there. They were trying to kick the ball to win the game. It would have been the same as if Florida State had a 3-point lead when Aguayo got it blocked. And Jimbo was just trying to go for an additional 3 points. And you get it blocked and taken back. That would have been the equivalent. Jacksonville State, I watched that. Frustrating, horrible loss. But it wasn't coaching malpractice. It wasn't Florida State had the game won and a coaching decision. No, you just got beat on a bad play. And it was embarrassing and it was terrible. And it sucked, and we got trolled. I get it, but nothing compares to this one. A couple plays later, Georgia Tech scores a touchdown. Mario, in his press conference, I want you to hear this.
They should have taken the timeout right there at the end. Thought he could get the first down, and we talked about 2 hands on the ball, but that's not good enough. Just should have told him to take it in. That's it. Fumbled the ball at 25, and they went 75 yards in 2 plays. So, no excuse.
He blamed the players. I'm telling you something. We're going to talk recruiting here in just a minute. I don't understand this one. You have to own this. You have to wear this. You can't say, oh, I told him to put 2 hands on the ball. That is insane. I've never seen a worse one-off coaching decision. I've seen worse coached games. I think Jimbo Fisher coached a terrible game yesterday against Alabama. I think he's the reason they lost. I don't think Alabama's very good. To their own standards, right? They're fine in college. They're top 10, 15 team in college football. Jimbo coached a worse overall game, but I've never seen a worse one-off coaching decision than what Mario Cristobal did yesterday. And to come out and blame the players, to come out and say, hey, we tell you 2 hands on the ball. He should have never been in that position. The ref should have never been in that position to have to compensate for Mario Cristobal's idiotic coaching. His idiotic decisions. That shouldn't fall on Chaney. That shouldn't fall on the ref. You don't put those guys in that position. You take the snap and fall down. I saw people saying, oh, well, it was rainy, and so you don't want to get up under center and kneel. You can take a shotgun snap and fall to the ground. You don't even have to kneel it. Van Dyke can literally just fall backwards and fall on the ground. To blame the players is next level, though. And it shows that he does not understand that this was squarely his fault. Because, again, this is the second time. You show me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right? That's on Cristobal. And he doesn't understand that. He won't take accountability. He won't stand up and step up for his own actions and his own mistakes. That was 100% on Mario Cristobal. And to blame the players afterwards shows a lot about character and the lack thereof. Remember the comments he made about true freshmen playing? I wonder how many true freshmen were on the field when that happened. Remember when he reached out to the Miami Beat and he had his staff telling the Miami Beat, like, hype up the fact that we're playing true freshmen and Florida State doesn't play as many true freshmen and this, that. Remember that? Do you remember it? How many true freshmen do you think were on the field when that happened. Oh, we're not going to pass you up. We're not going to use a transfer portal. We're not going to do this, that, and the other. Come to Miami and play because you'll have a better chance to get on the field as a freshman. I thought it was poetic justice. Shout out to my guy Dustin Tackett on Twitter for noticing this. Georgia Tech's game-winning touchdown, both the quarterback and the wide receiver were both transfers. So a little bit of fun there. All right, I want to look at this Barry Jackson tweet. He tweeted last night, Florida Sports Buzz, instead of spending the offseason sending emails threatening his staff if they talked more to local writers, Cristobal should have worked on simple math instead. What a joke. Mario Cristobal is an absolute psycho, and sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's absolutely the worst, but he likes to have control over every single aspect of his program, and I understand that, but he certainly likes to have control over the media and the narrative. His post-game press conference was like 5 minutes last night. For a little bit of perspective, Norvell's was like 15, 20. He didn't want to talk. He didn't want to own up to anything. There was nothing to say. There was nothing to excuse it. And Barry Jackson was frustrated at some things going on over the offseason. Not to give any names away, but most sources, when we try to give you guys some kind of inside look or breaking news, a lot of times those sources come from folks on the staff, whether they're all the way up to Norvell, not usually, or all the way down to administrative type staff. There are different levels of sources that you could find within that. A lot of times it is the assistant coaches. And Cristobal, I guess, was frustrated that his coaches were talking to the media. He doesn't want anything out, doesn't want anything getting leaked, doesn't want this getting known, that getting known. Maybe if he had spent more time practicing the kneel down or the victory formation, maybe they didn't think they were going to win very much this year and they didn't practice the victory formation. I don't know. But Barry Jackson's tweet is hilarious. Tyler Van Dyke wasn't good, 3 interceptions. I'm not worried about this Miami game at all. Florida State would need to come out and shoot themselves in the foot over and over and over again to lose this game. And it has nothing to do with the final play. I just don't think Miami's very good. I think they got super hyped up over a good win against Texas A&M, but they're just not a good team. Florida beat a good Utah team last year. You can have one-off good performances, and that's what Florida did last year against Utah. That's what Miami did against A&M. I don't think A&M's very good. I think Jimbo Fisher's a bad coach at this point in his career. I think they're very overrated. But that was a good win for Miami, no doubt. But that was a one-off. That is not going to be the norm. They stink, and I'm not worried about them. They have UNC and Clemson next. I think that's trouble. I think you're going to see a team that was 4-0 wind up being 4-3. And we'll see what the rest of their season looks like. We'll see what their buy-in at that point looks like. They've got Florida State 2 weeks after that. This is the most embarrassing loss based on a coaching decision that I can remember. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments if you've got other ones that you think are close to it at all. I can't think of anything. We'll be live tonight at 6 p.m. Make sure that you're subscribed and locked in with the channel. Richie and I will talk about Florida State's game. I'm sure this one will come up. We'll talk about some other stuff that happened in college football. Thank you to everyone who came out to the tailgate yesterday. Had a great time. Took the fam up. A little bit different tailgate for me, taking the fam up for once, but had a blast. Had to talk with you guys this morning about Coach Cristobal, about the stuff down there at Miami. Crazy, crazy, crazy result. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Go Noles.